Greetings, warriors, and welcome back to the channel. I observed my closest companion dismantle himself by playing the role of the virtuous individual. He bestowed everything, pardoned everyone, forfeited his serenity for people who could not even recollect his identity. 3 years later, I encountered him once more. He was no longer shattered. He had become unyielding, and he imparted something to me that I will never forget. He stated, "The external world remained unchanged. I transformed. I ceased being simple to fracture." That declaration lodged itself within me because profoundly I recognized it was not merely his narrative, it belonged to me as well, and it belongs to you as well. At this moment, there exist 2 manifestations of your being. Manifestation number 1, the elucidating, apologizing, enduring, and persistently anticipating that individuals will transform. You contort yourself excessively to be comprehended, esteemed, cherished, yet the more you bestow, the less they perceive your significance. Then there exists manifestation number 2, the quiet one, the assured one, the one who does not dispute, does not plead, does not pursue. They merely withdraw without commotion, without remorse. You have existed as manifestation number 1 for an excessive duration, and it is destroying you. It has rendered you pliable where you ought to be keen, benevolent where you ought to be calculating. Machiavelli once inscribed, "It is preferable to be dreaded than adored if you cannot embody both." And he was not referring to brutality, he was referring to command, about recognizing when to cease being the individual who fractures for others. Today, I am going to demonstrate to you how to rouse manifestation number 2, the unyielding manifestation of your being, the one Machiavelli inscribed about, the one individuals perceive yet can never exploit. There exist 8 transformations that divide these 2 manifestations of your being. Each one will demand a fragment of your former self. Each one will feel as though you are consuming what formerly characterized you. Yet if you remain until the conclusion, you will depart unrecognizable to the individual you were previously. You will cease pursuing tranquility from others and commence generating it from within. You will acquire the capability of being unreachable, because this existence will shatter you unless you become unyielding. And prior to our commencement, I desire you to place this in the commentary section. I will not fracture again. Number 1, cease bestowing yourself to the unappreciative. The initial metamorphosis into unyieldingness commences when you comprehend this. Your greatest vulnerability was never your compassion, it was where you positioned it. You have been expending vitality into individuals who nourish themselves from your radiance, yet never once reciprocate it. You continued assisting, pardoning, elucidating, anticipating that perhaps, simply perhaps, they would ultimately perceive your significance, yet they never do. Why? Because in the psychology of influence, what is freely bestowed is subconsciously depreciated. Individuals instinctively equate generosity with subordination. They presume if you bestow too readily, it is because you require to be favored, and the instant someone perceives your requirement, they dominate you. That is how vulnerability is generated, not from failure, but from emotional reliance disguised as benevolence. Machiavelli once stated, "Individuals are more swift to offend one who is adored than one who is dreaded." The unappreciative exploit your goodness precisely because they do not dread forfeiting it. They understand you will remain. They understand you will pardon. They understand that regardless of how poorly they treat you, you will rationalize their conduct with justifications such as they are merely experiencing difficulties. That is not compassion. That is self-deception.
The truth is, individuals recall pain, not kindness. They esteem consequences, not explanations. The more predictable your clemency, the more imperceptible you become. Each occasion you tolerated disrespect, you conditioned them to perceive you as expendable.
Each occasion you elucidated your worth, you affirmed you had to demonstrate it. That is the silent psychology behind why the virtuous are shattered first. The world does not destroy you because you are benevolent. It destroys you because you confuse being benevolent with being innocuous. The unappreciative are predators in human form. They do not hunt your physical form, they hunt your guilt. They induce you to feel remorseful for safeguarding yourself. They twist your empathy into an implement and wound you with it. So cease believing you are indebted to anyone your allegiance merely because you once valued. Your concern is a privilege, not an entitlement. Bestow it solely upon those who have merited it through consistent esteem. Everyone else should experience the sharpness of your absence. Detachment is your protection. Indifference is your retribution. Machiavelli comprehended this profoundly when he stated, "Individuals are unappreciative, inconstant, deceitful, cowardly, and avaricious." He was cautioning you, never bestow influence upon the unappreciative because they will employ it to weaken you. You must unlearn the conviction that being virtuous will rescue you. Virtue without limitations is a capital punishment. Unyieldingness is not cruelty, it is rectification. It is the instant you cease rewarding betrayal with accessibility. When you cease responding to every summons, cease pardoning every falsehood, cease elucidating your quietness, the unappreciative panic. They recognize they cannot nourish themselves from your emotional responses any longer. That is when influence shifts. You become the one who determines who receives your focus and who fades into insignificance. The world belongs to those who preserve their vitality like an implement, not those who squander it like a desire. Each fragment of fortitude you pour into the wrong individuals is influence stolen from your destiny. Withdraw it, accumulate it, reconstruct it. Permit them to ponder what occurred to your warmth. Inform them it solidified when you ultimately perceived the truth. Certain individuals merit your distance more than your commitment. Now, I desire you to place this affirmation in the commentary section. My benevolence has limitations. Number 2, transform anguish into authority. Anguish is the purest instructor because it never deceives. It does not flatter your self-regard. It does not concern itself with your justifications. It reveals you, strips you, consumes everything vulnerable inside you until only the authentic you remains. The distinction between the shattered and the influential is not the quantity of anguish they experienced, it is what they accomplished with it. Feeble individuals drown in anguish because they persistently pursue fairness. They still believe the world is indebted to them for healing. Yet unyielding minds understand the truth. Anguish is currency. You either expend it constructing yourself or squander it by lamenting. Those who ascend from devastation are not fortunate, they are strategic. They examine betrayal, heartbreak, and failure, and instead of inquiring, "Why me?" they inquire, "What is this instructing me about command?" Machiavelli once stated, "Never squander the chance offered by a beneficial crisis." Each moment of suffering is an opportunity to grow into someone unreachable. Anguish is not punishment, it is intelligence. It reveals to you precisely where your vulnerability resides. Each betrayal demonstrates to you whom you trusted too readily. Each rejection reveals where you positioned your worth. Each loss exposes the illusion of permanence. When you commence viewing anguish through that perspective, it ceases being an injury and becomes an implement. You commence employing it to refine your intellect instead of destroying it.
The shadowed psychology of transformation resides in transmuting suffering into strategy. The majority weep to feel improved. The resilient contemplate to become stronger. When they are injured, they do not pursue resolution. They generate influence. They scrutinize their adversaries instead of detesting them. They examine their errors instead of evading them. They transform every heartbreak into emotional restraint, every disappointment into concentration. That is the essence of Machiavellian resilience, to employ the world's cruelty as fuel, not as restraints. Anguish is the forge where dominance is generated. When existence fractures you, it is revealing to you who you truly are without disguises. Cease fleeing from it.
Remain with it. Experience every fragment of the inferno. Because once you survive your own suffering, no one else can dominate you with dread. The instant you cease dreading anguish, you become unforeseeable. And unpredictability is influence. When others attempt to exploit you through guilt or rejection, it no longer functions because you have already confronted worse and endured. Machiavelli believed that a discerning individual acquires more from misfortune than from comfort. That is because anguish activates consciousness. It compels evolution. It silences illusion. You commence perceiving individuals for who they are, not who you wished they would be. You commence selecting logic over emotion. The more you withstand, the less reactive you become. You move like someone who has already traversed the fire and lived. That energy commands esteem because it is perilous. Individuals sense it when you enter a space, the aura of someone who has transformed every injury into wisdom. You no longer bear scars with disgrace, you adorn them like protection. Your quietness becomes substantial, your gaze steady. That is when you understand you have crossed over from being shaped by anguish to shaping others through it. The subsequent instance existence injures you, do not curse it. Scrutinize it. Inquire of yourself, what benefit is concealed here? Because each moment of suffering carries a seed of dominance if you are unyielding enough to employ it. Place this affirmation in the commentary section. My anguish constructs influence. Number 3, eradicate the requirement to be comprehended. The craving to be comprehended is the snare that maintains influential minds confined to mediocrity. You persist in elucidating yourself, anticipating individuals will perceive your intentions, your goodness, your truth. Yet here's the harsh reality. The majority do not value understanding you. They solely value categorizing you. They do not listen to comprehend, they listen to locate vulnerability. The more you elucidate, the more intelligence you bestow upon them to employ against you. In shadowed psychology, understanding equates to command. When individuals understand your motivations, they understand how to exploit you. That is why the unyielding remain quiet. They permit others to speculate, project, assume, and in that uncertainty, they remain unreachable. Machiavelli once stated, "He who desires to be obeyed must understand how to command, and to command, you must never over-explain, because explaining is a defensive act. It reveals that you still pursue affirmation. Influence does not justify itself, it merely exists." The most intimidating individuals are the ones who do not elucidate why they act, feel, or withdraw. Their quietness generates tension. That tension generates esteem. The vulnerable plead to be observed. The resilient select to be misunderstood. You must comprehend that when you cease defending yourself, you become unforeseeable, and unpredictability is dread's companion. Individuals cannot command what they cannot interpret. That is why rulers, leaders, and strategists throughout history mastered the art of ambiguity. They articulated less than they understood and acted more than they elucidated. You must acquire to do the same.
Each instance you hasten to elucidate your intentions, you bestow the blueprint of your emotions. You are instructing others how to disarm you. The hazardous aspect about being transparent is that it welcomes dissection, and dissection always eliminates the enchantment of influence. Machiavelli inscribed, "The discerning individual performs immediately what the foolish individual performs eventually." The discerning cease rationalizing themselves early, while the foolish continue articulating until they are exposed. You are not obligated to anyone for lucidity regarding your selections. You are not obligated to anyone for an explanation for your distance, your quietness, your standards, or your transformation. Permit them to misinterpret. Permit them to presume you have become cold, arrogant, detached. Each erroneous designation they bestow upon you adds another layer to your protection. The instant you cease attempting to rectify them, you reclaim command, because command resides in restraint. Quietness is not vulnerability, it is weaponized composure. It renders others anxious because they cannot foresee your subsequent action, and uncertainty renders them cautious. That is psychological dominance.
Consider the most influential individuals you have ever encountered. They were not loud, they were composed. Their presence demanded focus, not because they shouted, but because they did not need to. Each expression they did not utter spoke louder than 1,000 justifications. You must become that kind of presence, a mystery no one can fully comprehend, a storm that does not announce itself. When someone attempts to provoke you, permit your quietness to suffocate their self-regard. When someone misjudges you, permit them to remain in their own assumption. The truth is your implement. Do not squander it, demonstrating your innocence. Those who require to comprehend you do not merit to. Those who truly value you will never require an explanation. Influence is not about persuading others. It is about becoming so self-assured that their confusion no longer matters. Once you cease requiring to be comprehended, you ultimately commence to comprehend yourself. I desire you to place this affirmation in the commentary section. My quietness articulates influence. Number 4, detach. Do not plead. Pleading for focus, love, or resolution is how the influential become enslaved. The more you pursue what is withdrawing, the smaller you become in the perception of those who never intended to value you. Detachment is not coldness, it is command. It is the aptitude of withdrawing from anything that endangers your self-regard, regardless of how much you desired it. The majority mistake attachment for allegiance, but they are opposites. Allegiance is fortitude, attachment is dependence. The world has conditioned you to believe that contending for individuals demonstrates your concern. Yet in shadowed psychology, the one who pursues always forfeits influence. The act of pleading, whether for time, affection, or focus, broadcasts vulnerability, and vulnerability welcomes exploitation. Machiavelli once inscribed, "The one who is not master of himself cannot be master of others." When your emotions dominate you, you are simple to command. The unyielding detach, not because they lack emotion, but because they decline to be owned by it. When someone withdraws, they do not dispute or elucidate, they vanish. Quietness becomes their blade, and absence becomes their message. In a world constructed on emotional exploitation, detachment is the ultimate insurrection. It terrifies manipulators because it eliminates their influence source, your reaction. Once you cease reacting, you become unreadable. And when you are unreadable, you become dreaded. The secret implement of the influential is not fury, it is indifference. Indifference burns colder than hatred and lasts longer than love. When individuals can no longer foresee how you will respond, they forfeit their command over your intellect. That is the instant your vitality commences to transform.
You cease being the one who awaits and commence being the one who determines. The ones who once disregarded you commence to observe your quietness, because quietness from a once reactive individual is louder than any confrontation. Detachment bestows upon you a peculiar form of authority, the authority to withdraw from chaos with your serenity intact. Machiavelli believed that command over one's emotions was the foundation of every successful ruler, because those who cannot detach are destined to be commanded by those who can. He stated, individuals are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by dread. If you can master your attachment, you will command both. The unyielding understand that not everyone merits access, not every emotion merits expression, and not every association merits revival. You must acquire to withdraw your vitality without announcement, to close doors quietly, and to render your distance feel like punishment. That is psychological warfare at its most elegant manifestation. The more you detach, the more influence you reclaim. You commence to realize that serenity is not discovered in connection, it is discovered in command. True fortitude is when you can adore someone profoundly, yet withdraw the instant they endanger your self-regard.
Detachment does not signify you do not value. It signifies you value correctly about yourself initially. Because when you cease pleading, you cease bleeding. And when you cease bleeding, no one can nourish themselves from you again. Place this affirmation in the commentary section. I select serenity over individuals. Number 5. Limitations are your protection. Limitations are the imperceptible barriers that separate influence from turmoil. Without them, your existence becomes an exposed field where anyone can enter, take what they desire, and abandon you empty. You've been instructed to believe that declining is self-centered, that establishing limits renders you unkind. Yet in truth, the absence of limitations is self-betrayal. Each occasion you tolerate disrespect, each occasion you pardon without consequence, each occasion you permit individuals to cross boundaries to preserve the peace, you forfeit fragments of yourself. Vulnerable men and women confuse tolerance with fortitude. The unyielding understand better. They comprehend that a compassion without protection is a target. Machiavelli once inscribed, "A ruler who is not wise himself cannot be well advised." What he intended was straightforward. If you cannot protect yourself, no one else will. The world does not honor openness, it exploits it. The ones who smile at your benevolence today will employ your forgiveness tomorrow. That is the nature of unchecked human desire. Individuals always test the limits you decline to enforce. Limitations are not barriers to exclude others. They are gateways that protect what is sacred inside you. They are not cruelty, they are lucidity. And lucidity terrifies manipulators because it eliminates their influence. In shadowed psychology, limitations are implements of command. The person who enforces them dictates the conditions of every association. When you calmly decline without guilt, you communicate dominance. When you sever access after betrayal, you announce that your worth is non-negotiable. The influential do not dispute about esteem, they demonstrate it through distance. Forgiveness without consequences is submission. Mercy without structure welcomes chaos. The instant you cease rewarding negative conduct with your presence, you commence to command quietness from those who once disrespected you. The fearful will designate it arrogance, the vulnerable will label it self-importance, but the discerning will recognize it as self-command. Machiavelli also stated, "He who permits himself to be deceived is deserving of deception." You instruct individuals how to treat you by what you tolerate. The instant you commence protecting your space like a stronghold, the parasites vanish, the noise fades, and your serenity returns. That is when you ultimately perceive who values you genuinely.
those who esteem your regulations instead of resenting them. Limitations attract quality and repel corruption. They filter the loyal from the opportunistic, the genuine from the manipulative. They render your presence feel merited, not accessible. To exist without limitations is to exist without dignity. To exist with them is to command your world with quiet authority. The unyielding understand that benevolence without defense welcomes destruction, so they construct barriers not out of dread, but out of wisdom, because the objective is not to be favored, it is to be esteemed. Recall, each limitation you establish is a declaration. This is where my serenity commences, and those who truly value you will never request you to lower your protection. They will remain outside it with honor. Now, I desire you to place this affirmation in the commentary section. My limitations protect me. Number 6, master the art of quietness. Quietness is the implement the influential employ when expressions forfeit their significance. The majority dread quietness because it exposes their deficiency of command. They articulate to occupy the atmosphere, to demonstrate their confidence, to pursue affirmation through commotion. Yet each unnecessary expression you articulate becomes ammunition for someone else's exploitation. The discerning understand that in a world addicted to articulating, quietness is dominance. Machiavelli once inscribed, "Never reveal all your reflections, for it renders you foreseeable and vulnerable." The instant individuals can interpret your emotions, they can calculate your reactions.
And the one who can foresee can command you. Quietness renders you unreadable. It constructs an atmosphere of mystery that compels others to second-guess themselves. The quiet man in the space always holds more influence than the one shouting for focus. In shadowed psychology, quietness is not emptiness, it is strategy. It transforms the equilibrium of command without confrontation. When you articulate nothing, you permit others to reveal everything. They expose their insecurities, motivations, and vulnerabilities while attempting to comprehend you. The unyielding employ this to their benefit. They listen more than they articulate, observe more than they elucidate, and act more than they promise. The vulnerable hasten to demonstrate their point. The resilient await the flawless instant to strike. Each pause you maintain in a dialogue increases your authority. Each instance you permit others to occupy the quietness, they unknowingly surrender intelligence. Machiavelli believed that influence flourishes in perception. The less individuals understand about your intentions, the more they dread them. Quietness generates psychological tension. It renders others to project their dreads onto you. They commence speculating what you are contemplating, what you might perform next, and that uncertainty bestows you imperceptible command. This is why quietness is not absence, it's presence magnified. You do not need to shout to be heard. Your restraint articulates louder than turmoil. The loudest individual rarely holds influence. They crave it, yet the quiet one already possesses it. The rulers of history comprehended this truth. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. The more they imagine, the more they comply. You must acquire to weaponize your calm, to employ quietness as your dialect. When someone insults you, remain quiet and observe them unravel in their own guilt. When someone provokes you, bestow no reaction and permit their desperation expose them. Your quietness will echo louder than any dispute. Individuals anticipate noise, they dread stillness. In stillness resides command. Machiavelli stated, "The discerning individual performs immediately what the foolish individual performs eventually." The foolish defends himself with expressions. The discerning protects himself with quietness. The instant you cease elucidating, you transform from emotional to strategic. You cease playing defense and commence commanding the game.
Influence does not plead to be comprehended, it demands to be felt. Quietness renders you unforeseeable, and unpredictability cultivates esteem. When you acquire to maintain your tongue, you acquire to maintain your influence. And in a world where everyone desires to be heard, the one who masters quietness becomes impossible to defeat. Place this affirmation in the commentary section. My quietness commands turmoil. Number 7. Never demonstrate complete allegiance. Allegiance is an implement solely when it is discerning. The instant you bestow it blindly, it becomes your confinement. Machiavelli cautioned that individuals are unappreciative, inconstant, and deceitful, so to anticipate pure allegiance is to welcome betrayal. Influence belongs to those who understand when to align and when to withdraw. The world is not moved by goodness, it is moved by strategy. When you demonstrate absolute allegiance to anyone, a friend, a mentor, or a leader, you forfeit your autonomy. They commence to view your devotion as vulnerability, not virtue. The loyal are foreseeable, and predictability is fatality in the contest of influence. Shadowed psychology instructs that allegiance must be a calculated act, never an emotional one. Genuine Machiavellian allegiance is conditional. It serves your development, your protection, your ascent. Once it ceases serving those, it must be reevaluated. The majority remain loyal out of dread of being solitary, dread of being designated untrustworthy, dread of forfeiting endorsement. Yet these are the same individuals who conclude discarded, betrayed, or replaced when they are no longer beneficial. The influential never attach themselves to the person, they attach to the opportunity. They understand alliances shift like currents. They do not resist it, they navigate it. Your allegiance should be a disguise, not your identity. You adorn it when it benefits you, and you remove it when it becomes a liability.
This is not cruelty, it is realism. The world rewards those who contemplate, not those who sense. Machiavelli inscribed, "A discerning individual ought never to make himself depend wholly on one thing or one person." Dependence eliminates autonomy, and autonomy is the foundation of dominance. Never reveal where your true allegiance resides. Permit individuals to believe you are on their side, but remain free internally. The illusion of allegiance is far more influential than allegiance itself. It maintains others comfortable while maintaining you unreachable. In politics, commerce, and personal existence, this is how empires are constructed. Monarchs fall because they trust too profoundly. Subordinates are eliminated because they serve too faithfully. Companions transform adversaries because they anticipate equality where hierarchy governs. When you are too loyal, individuals cease esteeming you. They test your limitations, they exploit your devotion, and they cease dreading your withdrawal. Dread maintains order. When individuals understand you can withdraw without hesitation, they treat your allegiance as a privilege, not a guarantee. That is how you command esteem. You must acquire to bestow allegiance like a blade, sharp, deliberate, and solely when it cuts in your favor. Never bestow it like a gift. Gifts are forgotten, but implements are remembered. This mentality renders you unforeseeable, which is the ultimate psychological benefit. They cannot exploit someone they cannot define. And that is the essence of Machiavellian influence, to remain a mystery in plain sight, loyal in appearance, but sovereign in reality. The contemporary world will designate this cold or heartless, yet those are the expressions of the powerless, the same ones who worship those who betrayed them. Recall this truth: allegiance without strategy is self-betrayal. You are indebted to nothing to anyone who would not bleed for your survival.
Your allegiance must always belong to your purpose, not to the individuals who come and go along the path. Number 8. Become unreachable. Becoming unreachable is the ultimate evolution of influence. It is the point where no insult, betrayal, or exploitation can penetrate your protection. This state is not about cruelty or arrogance. It is about complete sovereignty over yourself. The world will always hurl turmoil at you. Individuals will always test your patience, and circumstances will never bend to your desires. The vulnerable fracture, the fearful react, and the unprepared crumble. Yet the unreachable, they move like a shadow over the battlefield, unaffected, unshaken, unowned. Machiavelli once inscribed, "He who is wise will be master of himself, for he who is mastered by others is never free." Genuine freedom originates from inner mastery. To become unreachable, you must cease pursuing love, approval, and validation. These are illusions, snares that maintain you tethered to other individuals' whims. The world does not reward benevolence, nor does it honor virtue. It esteems influence, self-possession, and relentless clarity. When you cease relying on others to nourish your self-regard, you commence to reclaim your vitality. That vitality becomes a stronghold, shielding you from exploitation, deceit, and distraction. The unreachable construct themselves deliberately. They invest in activities, restraint, and strategy rather than approval. They cultivate patience, presence, and quiet confidence. Their reputation is not merited by commotion, but by consistency and imperceptible authority. Shadowed psychology reveals that individuals dread what they cannot command. Once you detach from expectation, from reaction, from the requirement to be comprehended or adored, you become a psychological enigma. No one can foresee your maneuvers. No one can manipulate your intellect. You have eliminated the levers. The unreachable do not act out of emotion. They act from strategy. Anger is measured, dread is irrelevant, and desire is restrained. Every reaction is intentional. Every quietness is meaningful. You become the axis around which turmoil spins, unmoved by the storms that collapse others. Machiavelli stated, "It is preferable to be dreaded than adored if you cannot embody both." Being dreaded is not about terror. It is about presence, command, and the consciousness that crossing you has a cost. Unreachability is the capability to render individuals hesitate before testing you. It is the quiet declaration that you are no longer accessible for exploitation.
No betrayal, no insult, no exploitation can unsettle you because you are complete within yourself. You are no longer a reflection of others' opinions. You are the summation of your own strategy and willpower. To attain this stage, you must shed the final remnants of dependence, the requirement to justify, the requirement to pardon, the requirement to be recognized. You must rise above attachment, resentment, and longing. The unreachable do not flinch because they comprehend the impermanence of external validation. They are anchored to themselves, and that anchor cannot be uprooted by circumstance. When you attain this level, influence becomes effortless. Individuals perceive it instinctively. They either esteem it or dread it, yet they cannot disregard it. You are no longer a participant in the exploitations of others. You are the standard by which influence and command are measured. You move through the world unreachable because you have mastered the only thing that ever mattered, yourself. Place this affirmation in the commentary section. Nothing can fracture me. The world will attempt to fracture you. It will test your patience, betray your trust, and punish your benevolence. It will demonstrate to you that fairness is a myth, that individuals are unforeseeable, and that the only thing you can genuinely rely on is yourself. For too long, you have permitted others to dictate your serenity. You have bestowed your vitality to the unworthy, pleaded for understanding, and permitted attachment to chain you to disappointment. Yet that concludes today. You now possess the blueprint to become someone no one can exploit, no one can manipulate, no one can approach. You have acquired to cease bestowing upon the unappreciative. You have transformed your anguish into influence. You have eradicated the requirement to be comprehended, detached from what drains you, and fortified yourself with unbreakable limitations. You have mastered quietness, commanded esteem through calm, wielded allegiance strategically, and evolved into someone unreachable. None of this is fortune. None of it is simple. Yet every step you take in this direction strips the world of its influence over you. Machiavelli once stated, "The discerning individual performs immediately what the foolish individual performs eventually." Today, you are selecting wisdom. You are selecting command. You are selecting unyieldingness in the most restrained, quiet, and influential sense. This is the manifestation of you that the world cannot bend, cannot exploit, and cannot fracture. The path ahead will not be straightforward, and there will be challenges. Yet every trial now becomes an implement. Every betrayal becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to demonstrate that you are no longer accessible for exploitation. The unreachable are forged in fire, sharpened by strategy, and protected by self-mastery. Stand firm in this truth. Traverse through existence with clarity and composure. Become the individual who moves without apology, who commands without announcement, who rises without permission. And as you take this path, recall the world will observe the distinction, yet solely after you are unreachable. If you discovered value in this guide, ensure to activate the approval button, distribute this recording with someone who requires to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more strategies that render you stronger, smarter, and impossible to fracture. You are no longer the manifestation that bends. You are the manifestation that governs. Place this final affirmation in the commentary section. I am unreachable now.